Hello everyone, myself Sunil Kumar V. So I am here to explain you about the concept called ratio analysis, where it is a part of management accounting. It is a part of management accounting. So here, as we all know, it is one of the main tool for the management to know the or to take the decisions of a to take the decisions by the management with the help of the tool called ratio analysis. As we discussed, there are many tools in case of management to know about the financial position of the company, performance of the company with the comparative balance sheet, common size balance sheet, with the help of ratio analysis, fund flow statement, cash flow statements, etc. So here today let us know what is ratio analysis. Okay, I think I am audible to you. So now first we need to know what is a ratio. So in a very layman language we can say that ratio is a form where it is going to explain the relationship between two variables. It may be two numericals or it may be anything. Okay, so that expression will be expressed in the form of unit only. So it may be expressed in terms of arithmetic form, or it may be expressed in terms of percentages depending on the requirements. So here, so as I am sharing the screen, you can see here it is a relationship. It is a relation between two or more numbers which is expressed in the same unit, which is found in some arithmetic form, with a view to making a meaningful comparison between any two or more related phenomena. So here you can take an example like mathematical formats, like which can be expressed in the form of P by Q or P is to Q. Do you remember here? P by Q or P is to Q. So I have taken just an example here. If you divide, this represents ratio. So division, or you're comparing two equal numericals or two equal values. So that we can take it as an example for ratio. So here ratio analysis. So ratio analysis means, in a very simple term, with the help of ratio, you're going to analyze any strength or weakness of a company by a technique called ratio analysis. So here, in terms of finance or in terms of accounting, there we can learn what is financial health, what is financial health, or what is current financial position based on the historical data, based on the historical data revealed by the company, Okay, so here that is what they have said in the meaning part. The process of establishing relationship between financial variables contained in the balance sheet and statement of profit and loss in order to find out the financial strengths and weakness of the firm. So it is a technique of interpreting financial health of a business firm with the help of accounting ratios derived from the financial statements. So here financial statements means, previously we should know what is financial statements. So financial statements means which is not only the balance sheet, so financial statements which include statement of profit and loss, balance sheet statement, and notes to balance sheet items, and at last cash flow statement. At last cash flow statement. This has been revised. The whole part means combination of statement of profit and loss, balance sheet, notes to balance sheet items, and also cash flow statements. These items is, if you merge all these items, then we are going to call them as financial statements. Financial statements as per Companies Act of 2013. As per Companies Act of 2013. Before Companies Act of 2013, there were only three things that we need to prepare. One is trading and profit and loss account, profit and loss appropriation account, and balance sheet. Okay, so only these three were prepared before introduction of Companies Act 2013. Once Companies Act 2013 was introduced and it has got revised so many things, based on that we are going to know, or balance sheet or financial statements or any company's financial statements means which should contain these aspects. Okay, so here how we are going to relate these aspects with the ratio analysis. Say for example, let me tell you in detail in upcoming thing. So before that, have a glance on that. Statement of profit and loss means it has got various items or various entries where we need to know the relationship between, say for example, you want to know the ratio of gross profit with relation to sales. Ratio of gross profit with relation to sales. So then here we can narrate the formula as gross profit ratio. Gross profit ratio. So the formula may be like this. The formula may be like this. What will be the formula? Let us say, yes, let me align this. Gross profit divided by net sales into 100 into 100. So this we can call it as gross profit ratio. This we can call it as gross profit ratio. I think this is visible, or if you want I can increase the font here. So by talking only we have narrated the formula. Here we can compare the relationship between sales and gross profit. So let us put a value for this. Let us assume gross profit will be rupees 25,000. Gross profit will be rupees 25,000 and sales will be rupees 1,12,000 and sales returns would be rupees 12,000. Sales return would be rupees 12,000. Sales would be rupees 1,12,000 and gross profit would be 25,000. Let us assume like that. Okay. So here substitute the value. So here we require net sales. So net sales, the formula for net sales will be sales or sales minus sales returns. Sales minus sales return. So sales was rupees 1,12,000 minus sales return would be 12,000. So net sales would be around 1 lakh. In the same way, let us substitute the value in the formula gross profit divided by net sales into 100. So how much is the gross profit? Gross profit is 25,000 net sales will be 1 lakh into 100. So this will be, let us take the help of calculator here. So gross profit is 25,000 divided by net sales is 1 lakh into 100. So it comes to 25%. So the gross profit is 25% with compared with the relation to net sales. Am I clear? So while discussing only, we came to know by just analyzing the situation with an items which is presented in the profit and loss account or statement of profit and loss, we came to know the actual gross profit ratio in a very simple way, right? So in the same way, balance sheet statement or balance sheet items will be there, notes to balance sheet items will be there. Say for example, if we are providing dividend to the equity shareholders, then that if you want to compare dividend and the value of equity shares, then you will get to know dividend payout ratio, how much you are going to pay the dividend to the equity shareholders. So like that we can find out so many things, or we can analyze with the help of this value. We can analyze the position, or with an historical data we can know what is the actual position of the company based on the data provided by the company. Okay, so here many people have defined what is ratio analysis or financial statement analysis in the form of ratio analysis. So here, according to J. Batty and Ratio has defined, the term accounting ratio is used to describe the significant relationship which exists between figures shown in a balance sheet and profit and loss account in a budgetary control system or any other part of the accounting management. So with the definition, we came to know that this ratio analysis will help in framing the budget of each and every company, framing the budget for the next year with the help of the ratio that is according to Batty and Ratio. Okay, next, Khan and Jain defines the term ratio analysis as the systematic use of ratios to interpret the financial statements so that the strengths and weaknesses of a firm as well as its historical performance and current financial conditions can be determined. So as I said you here, with the help of their historical performance and current financial conditions can be determined with the help of the relationship between the numericals, which is called as ratio analysis. Okay, so here there are objectives. Let us analyze one by one. Measuring financial soundness. So here, how much the company is capable of handling the contract, and how much is the company is capable of the total transaction values, or the total transactions can be known by measuring the financial numericals with the help of ratio analysis. Next, judging solvency. So solvency ratio means, so as in a layman language, solvency means it is a very simple thing. Company is going to dissolve. Okay, so here judging solvency means still how many years company can run by itself. And next, measuring profitability. Measuring profitability means, as we discussed in the previous thing, we have measured the percentage of gross profit in case of sales. So here we can say that, let us assume sales has 100%. In that 100%, we are gaining 25% of gross profit. If the sales is 100%, gross profit would be 25% of that sales. Okay, so that is called measuring profitability. Next, judging operational efficiency. So here, if you want to check, or if you want to measure the efficiency or the capability of the company with the financial term, means the ratio analysis is very much helpful. Okay, next, indicating trends. So here, company can also become a trend setter in some of the aspects. It may be related to financial or investment aspects. Excuse me. Next, assessing growth potential. So here, if we compare current year and previous year's profit ratios or profit percentages, with the help of that data, if we can draw a graph. So in that graph, we can able to see whether the company's growth potential. So how much percentage it keeps on increasing, or whether it keeps on decreasing, or whether it has got fluctuating every year, with the help of the ratio analysis. Next, we can also compare intra-firm and inter-firm. Say for example, if competitor company is also got some financial statements, if we compare our financial statements with their financial statements, there we can easily get to know whether we are lagging behind or the competitor company is lagging behind in case of making profits, or in case of acquisition of market area, etc. So however we can compare with the help of ratio analysis. So here we have classified accounting ratios into two parts. So let me take this into the next page. So accounting ratios are classified into two parts. One is traditional or statement based accounting ratio. The other one is modern or functional based accounting ratio. So in the traditional based, means in previous term, income statement is the income statement ratios, balance sheet ratios, and composite statement ratios. Say for example, in the income statement, what are all the items will be present in income statement? So let us say previously we have done gross profit, that is called gross profit ratio, because gross profit entry is there in the income statement. In the same way, we can find out net profit ratio. Am I right? Net profit ratio. So when it is related to an expenses which is mentioned in the profit and loss account, then we can also prefer operating ratio. Operating ratio. Next, with the help of not only expenses, if you want to compare expenses with income, I am not talking about profit here, I am talking about only revenue generation or income part, then we can also get to know operating profit ratio. Operating profit ratio. Okay, so these things we'll get to know in case of income statement. In the same way, let us take balance sheet ratios. So in the balance sheet, what are all the items which are present? What are all the items which are present in the balance sheet? So for that items, we can find out the ratio. So here I may explain you few things. So for example, we can have current ratio. So current ratio will explain you the relationship between current assets and current liabilities. With the current assets and current liabilities, the other name of current ratio is also called as working capital ratio. The other name of current ratio is also called as working capital ratio. Okay, so in the same way, we can also get to know the liquidity position, means cash and cash equivalents position. If we want to know, means with the help of liquidity ratio we can find out. We can find out. So in the same way, if you want to compare in the balance sheet with debt equity ratio, means long term loans and equity shareholders, we need to compare the relationship, means we can use the formula called debt equity ratio. Debt equity ratio. Okay, so these things we can have, or we can find out in case of balance sheet ratio. Okay, so I am just talking about the traditional method only, or statement based ratios only here. So last thing is the other name for composite statement here we can also called as mixed statement. Mixed statement ratios. Okay, so let me align this. Mixed statement ratio. So here composite or mixed statement ratio means here we can compare income statement with balance sheet. Income statement with balance sheet, or after presenting the balance sheet, how much earnings we have made in case of say for example we have incurred around 15,000 rupees, 15 lakh as profit. We can also call it as earnings after tax, and let us assume we don't have any preference dividend. So the other name for this we can also assume that earnings available to equity shareholders. Earnings available to equity shareholders. So here let us assume earnings available to equity shareholders will be 15 lakh, whereas if we have got equity share capital worth rupees 10 lakh, worth rupees 10 lakh, where rupees 10 per share. Correct? So every equity share has to be sold as has to be taken as rupees 10 per share. Though the market price may increase or decrease under secondary market, while in case of primary market we are issuing for the first time to the public, we should claim the price of rupees 10 per share only. Okay, so here now if you want to find out number of equity shares, number of equity shares, so what is the formula? So number of equity shares is equal to just a minute, let me copy this so that it will be easy. Total value of equity shares divided by value per equity share, value per equity share. So this is equal to Okay, so this is equal to, what is the value value of equity share capital here? 10 lakh. 10 lakh divided by value per equity share is rupees 10. So 10 will get cancelled. We will be getting the value 1 lakh equity shares. So 1 lakh equity shares. So here, what is the formula to find out earnings per share? Let us call it as EPS. Earnings per share. So the formula will be earnings per share is equal to earnings available to equity shareholders, earnings available to equity shareholders divided by number of equity shares. Number of equity shares. So this is equal to, so earnings available to equity shareholders was rupees 15 lakh. Number of equity shares was 1 lakh. So earnings per share will be rupees 15. Earnings per share. Okay, so here this is the thing we need to know. So these type of composite thing we are going to learn in case of composite or mixed statement ratios. Not only earnings per share, any financing activity, say for example debtors turnover ratio and return on investment, debtors turnover ratio, returns on investment. So these items we can know, or we can able to find out with the help of composite or mixed statement ratios. Okay, these are the types in case of traditional or statement based accounting ratio. Next, modern or functional based accounting ratios are these 5: liquidity ratios, profitability ratios, turnover ratios, leverage ratios, and investment ratio. So liquidity ratios means, which is nothing but liquid assets. Liquidity ratios here means, first we can have current ratio. First thing will be current ratio. So here I can show you the table here. I can show you the table here. So these are the list of ratios under modern method or functional method. So under that there are many categories, as we have discussed here, under 5 headings. Under liquidity ratio there are 3 ratios. Okay, so first one will be current ratio. Current ratio means current assets minus current liabilities. Current assets minus current liabilities. So it is also called as working capital ratio, where we can able to find out the current ratio with the help of the formula current assets divided by current liabilities. Okay. So here, in case of liquid ratio, the formula will be liquid assets. The formula will be liquid assets divided by current liabilities. So what is liquid assets? In the current assets, we should deduct stock and prepaid expenses. Stock and prepaid expenses. If we deduct these two with the current assets, then we are going to call them as a liquid asset. Why we need to deduct means stock will be incurred every time. We cannot sell directly in the market for any price which is quoted by the customer. Okay. And prepaid expenses, every time prepaid expenses will not incur to the company unless and until if we pay any expenses in advance. If we pay any expenses in advance, then it is called as prepaid expenses. Then it is called as prepaid expenses. Okay. Now, sir, then what is absolute liquid ratio? Absolute liquid ratio means absolute liquid assets divided by current liabilities. So here, absolute liquid assets means we should take only cash and cash equivalents, cash and cash equivalents, and marketable securities. Cash and cash equivalents and marketable securities, only these items should be taken in case of absolute liquid ratio. Absolute liquid ratio. So let us know before that, sir, what is current assets and current liabilities? So let me show you the items which are there under current assets and current liabilities. So let us have items one by one. Cash and cash equivalents, cash and cash equivalents, bills receivable, bills receivables, sundry debtors, short-term investments, temporary or marketable securities. Next, short-term loans and advances, and inventories. In inventories, there are several types of inventories. Let us know what are all those means. Stock of raw materials, stock of work in process, stock of stores and spares, and stock of finished goods. These are several items of inventories. Okay. So next we have prepaid expenses, then accrual incomes. So in some books they are also called as trade receivables. Trade receivables. In the same way, there are current liabilities called bank overdraft, bills payable, sundry creditors, outstanding expenses, dividends payable, short-term loans and advances, provision against current assets, and tax payable, etc. So these are some of the examples of current liabilities too. These are some of the examples of current liabilities too. Okay. So in the same way, next type will be profitability ratio. Profitability ratio. So here we have got around 9 ratios in case of profitability ratio. So here let us know gross profit ratio. As I said you, gross profit divided by net sales into 100. So there are two items, gross profit and revenue from operations also we can take, or net sales we can also take. So here net sales means, as I said you previously, total sales minus sales return. So total sales means here we can have two types of sales, cash and credit. So that two items we can take, that is called as net sales or revenue from operations, and gross profit. So gross profit, if they don't give gross profit, where there is a formula to find out gross profit also. So the formula is gross profit is equal to net sales minus cost of goods sold. Net sales minus cost of goods sold is called as gross profit. Okay. So in the same way, in formula to find out the particular ratio, inside a thing we can also have different formulas to find out particular heading or particular item. Okay. So no need to get confusion. Those things are very easy, where gross profit ratio, cost of goods sold ratio, all these things, if you are good in the items which are all there, or the entries which are all there in statement of profit and loss, if you know all those items, then these things and ratios are very easy to find out. Very easy. Okay. Next, cost of goods sold ratio. Cost of goods sold means cost of goods sold divided by sales into 100. We can get cost of goods sold ratio. Then operating ratio. Operating ratio means operating cost divided by revenue from operations or net sales. You can ask me a question, sir, what is operating cost, sir? So operating cost means cost of goods sold plus operating expenses. cost of goods sold plus operating expenses. So it's called as operating cost. Okay. Next, operating profit ratio. So operating profit means earnings before interest and tax. Earnings before interest and tax. So for this you need to know what is the earnings before interest and tax. So earnings before interest and tax means sales minus cost of goods sold is called earning profit before interest and tax. So in that profit you need to deduct all the expenses except interest and tax. Except interest and tax, then that profit is called operating profit or EBIT. Operating profit or EBIT. So if you deduct interest and tax, then that profit is called as net profit after tax, or we can also call it as EAT, earnings after tax. Earnings after tax. Okay. So if you want to know return on investment, then the formula will be operating profit or EBIT divided by capital employed. You know what is EBIT, sir? Then what is capital employed, sir? Because we are hearing this for the first time. Okay, no issue. In capital employed is equal to net fixed assets plus net working capital. Net working capital. Net fixed assets plus net working capital. Or there is another way also. Capital employed is equal to equity share capital plus, if we have got preference, means preference share capital plus, we need to leave space here, so don't worry, I have typed the alphabetics correctly. So equity share capital, preference share capital plus reserves and surplus plus, it is becoming bold, reserves and surplus plus long-term loans or long-term borrowings. In that we need to deduct fictitious assets. In that we need to deduct fictitious assets and non-operating assets. Non-operating assets. So this is another way to find out the capital employed. Okay, this is another way to find out capital employed. So here net profit after tax divided by shareholders fund. So shareholders funds means which include share capital, reserves and surplus plus retained earnings. Shareholders funds means share capital, reserves and surplus and retained earnings. Okay. Next, a return on total assets means net profit after tax divided by total assets. So net profit after tax divided by total assets, then we are going to find out return on total assets. In the same way, based on the activity, we can find out some more ratios called inventory turnover ratio, trade receivables ratio, average collection period ratio, creditors turnover ratio, average payment period ratio, and working capital ratio. I think this is very easy because cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. So here average inventory means opening inventory plus closing inventory divided by 2, or opening stock plus closing stock divided by 2, then we are going to call it as average inventory. So cost of goods sold, we already know what is cost of goods sold. Okay. So here trade receivables turnover ratio, net annual credit sales divided by average trade receivables. Average trade receivables means here also we should take opening trade receivables and closing trade receivables divided by 2, then we can know the average. Next, creditors turnover ratio. So total credit purchases divided by average trade payables and average collection period. So here for collection period we should know what is, for how many months we are going to provide credit facility to the customers. Credit facility to the customers. Based on that we can know, we can calculate average collection period. So at last average payment is also the same. While paying to the creditors, we need to know how many months creditors is going to provide the credit facility. Okay. Next, working capital turnover means cost of goods sold divided by average working capital is called working capital turnover ratio. So at last, fixed assets turnover ratio means cost of goods sold divided by net fixed assets. Cost of goods sold divided by net fixed assets. So next, in case of leverage or solvency ratio means debt equity ratio. Debt equity ratio means outsiders or the investors who have invested from the outside except equity shareholders, then we are going to call them as external equities. It may be debenture holders, long-term loans, where those two we are going to call as external equities divided by internal equities. So proprietary ratio means shareholders fund divided by total assets is called as proprietary ratio. Fixed asset to proprietors fund means shareholders fund, as I said you in the previously, shareholders fund means total equity share capital plus reserves and surplus plus retained earnings is going to called as shareholders fund. Okay. Next, capital gearing ratio. Capital gearing ratio. So here capital gearing ratios means the formula will be fixed charge bearing capital funds. So here fixed charge bearing capital funds means where we can also called as financial risk. What is financial risk? In the capital structure, if you know outside funds athwa or fund lenders, where we have borrowed funds from the fund lenders, there we are going to pay the interest. That interest is called fixed charge. Okay, that interest is called fixed charge. Though we have generated profit or not, that is secondary, but we need to pay the interest for that. So that's why it is called as fixed charge, which comes under capital gearing ratio. Okay. Next, last one, investment ratio. This is very easy. As I discussed in the earlier, earnings per share and dividend payout rate. Earnings per share, as I discussed, net profit after tax minus preference dividend means earnings available to equity shareholders divided by number of equity shares. Then it is called as earnings per share. Dividend payout ratio means dividend paid per share divided by earnings per share is called dividend payout ratio. How much dividend you have paid to the equity shareholders, that dividend divided by how much earnings you have earned per equity share. If we calculate, then it is called as dividend payout ratio. Dividend yield ratio means you are going to compare the dividend which you have paid to the equity shareholders to the market price of the equity share, then it is called as dividend yield ratio. Next one, price earnings ratio, PE. Price earning ratio means market price per equity share divided by earnings per share, then we are going to get PE ratio or price earning ratio. So at last, interest coverage ratio. Interest coverage ratio means in this we are going to know net earnings before interest and tax divided by interest charges. How much interest you are paid? Say for example, 10% debentures will be there, 12% debentures will be there, 14% debentures will be there. So that is the fixed interest charges and earnings, how much you have earned before interest and tax. If you divide, you will get to know the interest coverage ratio. So here, this is how we came to know what is the ratios and what is the formula to find out different types of ratios. Now let us see the advantages here. So the advantages are, as we have discussed, it helps to know the financial statements. We can analyze the financial statements with the help of data which is going to provide by the particular companies. Next, we can improve the performance in future by comparing the past data which has been provided by the companies. Okay, that is one of second advantage. In case of inter-firm, say for example, inter-firm means performance of one company with the competitor company. If we compare the data, there we can see which company is better or which company's performance is better compared to the companies, or between those two, which company is better in case of performance. That judgment can be taken with the help of the ratio analysis. Next, so that is called the judging thing. At last, simplifying accounting figures. So in this, the data can be simplified in case of profit and loss account. If the investor want to know my investment, if I invest so much amount in that company, whether it will be beneficial or not, risk is lesser or risk will be more, that can be calculated easily with the help of ratio analysis. Okay, so these are the advantages. When it comes to drawbacks, every thing will be having a drawback. Let me give you an example here. We know the difference between WDV method of depreciation and straight line method of depreciation. If companies follows WDV method of depreciation, values will get changed. If the company follows straight line method of depreciation, values will get changed. So like that, you should be very careful. So that is one of the major drawback in case of a ratio analysis. To analyze the financial statements based on the company is following which type of WDV. So based on that, numericals value will get changed. If the numerical values will get changed, obviously profit and everything will be changed, and the analysis part also will be get changed. So we cannot rely on that particular analysis which we have already computed. So that is the major drawbacks of the ratio analysis. Based on that, we have framed some points here. We have limitations to financial statements. So here, based on the information what they have recorded, on that data only we can able to find out the ratio. Above than that, we cannot find out the ratio. So based on the historical information only, we can provide the we can able to find out the ratios here. And by, as I told you, different accounting policies is followed by different companies. So based on that, we cannot able to judge the performance of the companies based on the calculation of ratio analysis. Next, standard comparison cannot be considered because we cannot consider the standard. So the requirements of the companies may change between company to company. Based on the requirements, performance cannot be judged. So that's why standard of comparison is not good, cannot be concluded. And quantitative analysis. So here a quantity matters a lot. Say for example, if you have got fixed assets value more and current assets value will be less, then the quantitative analysis is poorer and qualitative analysis is more. But in case of revenue, it keeps on reducing, whereas if you don't have good current assets or good working capital thing. Okay, so financial statements is called as window dressing, where it dresses only for the investor's point of view or only for the management point of view, where we cannot predict based on this what is the financial position of the company. So in some cases, changes in prices level keeps on reflecting the changes in ratios also. Okay, so like that, several points I have explained here. Causal relationship made, ratios account for one variable, seasonal factors. Obviously, seasonal businesses will affect based on the ratios. So there, the liquidity part will get affected in case of seasonal businesses. So by this, we are going to conclude the ratio analysis topic. If you have any doubts, please don't neglect to ask me. Anyhow, thank you so much. Okay, we'll meet you, and be safe, be happy. Thank you.